All right, ladies and gentlemen, joining me now, a man who reminded me, by the way, that we are also on channel 615 on Verizon Fios. A lot of people, settled into watching us on 115, but we're HD now. You can see every wrinkle in my face on 615. Legendary investigative reporter, 20-time New York Times best-selling author, and author of The First Family Detail. Secret Service agents reveal the hidden lives of the presidents that they, of course, served with. Ronald Kessler joins me. Hi, Ronald.
Hey, great to be with you, Steve.
Great to talk to you. All right, I want to point to a piece. They have Trump accusers coming forward, and before the sex accusations, they had Trump accusers who were, I was on this, I worked with him in the office, or I worked with him on this project, and he was mean, and he was nasty, and he was this, and he was that. So we have so many people on the record who wore the uniform. And they are telling their story. They have told their story for years, talking about how Hillary Clinton treats people who are assigned to protect her or who are in uniform protecting our country in one way or another, treats them in many cases like filth. And yet I've never seen one of them, put on television to relay their story, which is part of the double standard. But DeRoy Murdoch in National Review today, or a couple days ago, had a story. Hillary routinely bullied her bodyguards with the worst language possible. It's called Hillary F. Clinton Curses Those Who Keep Her Safe. Now, he quotes from there. He pulls out a bunch of quotes from a bunch of books. Your book, of course, he quotes from as well. And that goes back to Inside the White House, page 246. Where is the blank, blank effing flag? I want the GD effing flag up every effing morning, blah, 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 blah. Hillary snapped at State Trooper Larry Patterson. And, and that's just one of many, 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 many instances.
Yeah. Well, and more recently, FBI documents that were released confirm all these reports, such as in my book, which has a whole chapter on Hillary's nastiness towards her agents, the fact that being assigned her detail is considered a form of punishment. And the FBI actually confirms that by interviewing people who have protected her. And they say that they don't want to be on her detail. The senior agents actually avoid being on her detail because she seems to enjoy making their lives miserable. And these are people who are sworn to protect her. Yet the mainstream media have totally ignored this. I think it's just too damaging. They will run some speculation about, well, is she out of touch with the little people because she's wealthy, which is an absurd proposition. People like Bill Gates are wealthy, and they're very much empathetic towards the so-called little people. But the way that Hillary treats her agents tells you so much about her character. Really, no one would hire someone like that, even at a McDonald's, who treats other people with such shoddiness.
Right, and there's one in particular here also from the column. I'm not voting for Clinton. Air Force Staff Sergeant Eric Bonner. He posted that on his Facebook page in July. It's because she actually talked to me once, he said. Almost a sentence, he wrote this. He's an Air Force canine handler. I got to do a few details involving distinguished visitors, he wrote. One of my last details for Hillary was when she was Secretary of State. I helped with sweeps of her quarters and staff vehicles. Her words to me, according to Bonner, Clinton told them, "Get that effing dog away from me." Then she turned to her security detail and berated them up and down about why that blankety-blank dog was ever allowed into her quarters, up and down, up and down. So when she finally left, he apologized to the other officer who was catching the heat, the brunt of the heat, and said, "I'm sorry, man." And he said, the quote was, "Hillary doesn't care about anyone but Hillary. Happens every day, brother." I mean, this is outrageous.
Their lives miserable. She'll actually complain if a Secret Service agent goes over a bump in the road. And a lot of this is on the record in my book, The First Family Detail. When she was in the White House, she would tell the military that she doesn't want them to wear their uniforms. When she would campaign for the Senate, she would say she doesn't want to see police in uniforms. She has a real pathological aversion to the people who protect her, and it's something that would only get worse if she were in the White House. She would become even more arrogant.
Well, that was my next question to you as well. Let's go back to that incident at the World Trade Center, Ground Zero, 9/11 anniversary in September. I think you and I discussed this, but it's worth bringing up again because if she's if she's the president, is she going to be allowed to breach? Is it up to the person that's being guarded to breach Secret Service protocol to tell them, no, don't do this, do that? Do they have absolute power over what the Secret Service does, even though it's not protocol?
Yes, the protectee has complete authority over how he or she is protected. And, if she doesn't want to go to a hospital, they think she should, it's still up to her. In fact, she could even say, I don't want Secret Service protection. The president can't do that because he is required by law to have Secret Service protection.
Who treated, from your book and your research of the First Family Detail, who did the Secret Service agents like the best? Who treated them the best? Or did anybody, I rephrase it, did anybody else treat them in a negative way? Not nearly as much as Hillary, but in a negative way.
Well, Jimmy Carter was about as bad as Hillary.
Really?
Again, yeah, here's this guy who pretended to be a man of the people, just like Hillary. She cares about little people, and he cares about little people. He was a jolly peanut farmer, but the truth was he would tell his agents he didn't want them to say hello to him in the morning on the way to the Oval Office.
That is outrageous. Ronald, thank you. Everybody check out the book. There's much, much more in the book. There it is, The First Family Detail. Thank you.